Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hello there, I'm Colleen.
I'm Anders.
And I'm Daniel.
We're three nerds that met through our love of science fiction and fantasy storytelling. Of course, one of our favorites is George Lucas's signature achievement, Star Wars.
And if there's one thing the internet definitely doesn't have enough of, it's nerds talking about Star Wars. So here we are with yet another Star Wars podcast, where each week we discuss one of the films in the current Star Wars canon.
From the sands of Tatooine to the levels of Coruscant, we cover it all. Yet another Star Wars podcast is available wherever you get your podcast and is part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Welcome, Nerdy Knights of the Well-Rounded Table, to Bohemian Geek Studies, where we take extremely dorky dives into our favorite fandoms. I'm Padawan Learner and Defender of Droids, Sarah O'Connor.
Hello there, I'm Colleen McMillan, Jedi Master and Rebel Scum collaborator.
And I am Pirate Jedi, Anders Drew.
While we vary in terms of our ranks here on BGS, one thing always remains constant. Much to learn we still have.
Indeed. This season on Bohemian Geek Studies, we're taking a detailed dorky dive into Star Wars Rebels. Today, we're diving into Season 2, Episodes 13, 14, and 15, The Protector of Concord Dawn, Legends of the Lasat, and The Call, one of my personal faves.
We have done our best to scramble our signature, and we'll be avoiding spoilers for future episodes of Rebels, but we will be talking about other aspects of Star Wars canon, and I'll throw in an adult content warning for the younglings.
So without further ado, let's hop aboard the Ghost and punch it to Lothal to explore our holocrons of knowledge. Colleen, open up that first holocron, girl.
Excellent. Our first holocron is the Journal of the Wills, where we go over the plot synopsis for the episodes of this week. In episode 13, The Protector of Concord Dawn, as the Galactic Empire hunts the rebellion, the Ghost crew meet with Commander Sato and Captain Rex to discuss options for a new hyperspace route to the Lothal sector. Sabine suggests the Concord Dawn system, which contains a Mandalorian colony filled with elite warriors that could be allies for the rebellion. Hera leads Phoenix Squadron to Concord Dawn. Yeah, what could go wrong? Everything's fine. Mandalorians are totally neutral and would never fight anyone.
Puppies and kitties and rainbows.
Yes, really sweet. Just like the sweetest people in the galaxy. They go to Concord Dawn, where Fenrao, who is very attractive, but kind of a dick in this episode, he is Concord Dawn's protector leader. He demands to know why they're there, and then orders an attack on Phoenix Squadron when he learns that they're rebels. 2 pilots are shot down, and Hera orders a retreat and makes herself a target so the others can escape.
Sabine makes it back to the rebel fleet safely, but Hera is in bad shape. When they discuss what happened, Rex, Sato, and the crew believe that negotiations are no longer an option. Sabine suggests destroying the Protector's fighters, and Kanan suggests they infiltrate the base to do so. Once Sato approves the mission, Kanan takes Chopper with him to complete it, but Sabine stows away on the Phantom and joins. Kanan reveals he intends to try for a diplomatic solution and only use hostility as a last resort.
They really need to up the security on the Phantom. Their people just stow away on it
all the time.
Well, Chopper let her. I mean, I think Chopper's the security. He's like, oh, Sabine, she's right back there.
Yeah. So Kanan reveals himself to Rao, and they swap war stories as Sabine plants explosives on all the ships. Kanan asks the Protector to join the rebellion, but Fen doesn't want to side against the Empire. Sabine is caught planting the explosives. She reveals herself as a member of Clan Ren, part of House Dizla, and is seeking justice through single combat. As Rao draws his pistol, Sabine shoots it out of his hand and destroys all the fighters, except for his, because she didn't have time to get to his in the end. Rao takes off in his fighter, but Kanan grabs on and critically damages it, grabs Rao from the cockpit, and force jumps into the Phantom. Pretty amazing sequence.
Yeah.
Rao tells his forces to stand down and to keep his capture a secret to prevent the Empire from coming in and basically destroying all of them in their territory. This allows the rebels to pass through the Concord Dawn system, and the rebels strike an alliance of necessity with Rao.
Yikes. Poor Fenrao. So in our next episode, episode 14, Legends of Lasat, Ezra receives a tip, a great tip, about 2 refugees being held prisoner by the Empire that turn out to be 2 Lasat who survived the fall of Lasan. Zeb is shocked, and the rebels quickly attack to free the refugees. Anders' boy Hondo. Oh,
Yes!
God.
Hondo's back!
Back. Bad as ever. We love him.
And the
Frees
perfect
the
amount of
rebels.
screen time, as always.
Yes, perfection. Absolute perfection this episode from Hondo. He was actually the source of this information, Ezra. I mean, it was correct. His information was correct. He's just not the most trustworthy. It turns out that Zeb used to be a captain of the Honor Guard, which was a high rank in the Lasat military. When Hondo asks for his finder's fee, Ezra refuses, making the pirates super proud of his...
I love that moment.
So good.
So proud of you, Ezra.
Never
Never
had
part of
anyone
your
move
money.
so quickly.
Yes. He's a delight. Jim Cummings also, just like all the snaps too, and your vocal performances, Hondo, we love you. We learn about the Lasat's new world, Lyrasan, as described in a prophecy that Zeb doesn't believe in. He also doesn't want to be the child, y'all. He wants to be the warrior. He's going to
Yeah.
be anybody in this prophecy. He wants to be the warrior.
As
No,
he
no, no.
throws a
You're saying it
temper
wrong,
tantrum.
Colleen. Yeah.
Yes.
He wanted to be the warrior.
Perfect. So good. Meanwhile, Hondo, who is the fool of the prophecy, leads stormtroopers to the rebels, and a firefight breaks out after Hondo warns Ezra of the impending danger. So good job there, Hondo. Hondo helps by sealing some doors, but is captured. I'm sure this looks very incriminating. He just rolls with the punches so well.
He does.
He's probably going to get executed, but he's like, I could totally play this. This is going to be fine. The rebels escape on the Ghost into hyperspace.
In hyperspace, Chava shares that she doesn't know where Lyrasan is. A child of the prophecy must save the warrior and the fool and lead them to the planet. Zeb grows frustrated and leaves the temper tantrum room. Turns out he's feeling guilty for failing to protect his people as a member of the Honor Guard. Ezra encourages Zeb to protect his people again by helping Chava and Gron find Lyrasan. It's a good thing that Ezra's advice works because Zeb is the prophesized child. Zeb's bow rifle and Chava's staff create a surge of electricity that points to an uncharted world in wild space. So the rebels head to it and straight into the path of a large imploded star cluster.
Agent Callus's ship emerges from hyperspace using the tracking device that Hondo put in the communicator he gave Ezra as an insurance. But Zeb uses the power of his bow rifle to stage an incredible escape through the gravitational force of the star cluster. When the rebels awaken from their knockout nap, they realize that they have in fact found Lyrasan. Apparently, the planet already has millions of Lasat on it because it was the original homeworld of the Lasat people. With that, Zeb resolves to guide any other living Lasat he finds to their new home.
Yay. He finally has some hope, guys.
That's a little tear.
Here for this. He doesn't have to have this weight on his shoulders of being the last Lasat. No, he does not. I love that.
I mean,
he could have happiness.
He can have happiness. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that the other planet was like completely wiped out.
It does not.
Right.
No. This is just an easing of his guilt and
Yes.
suffering. It doesn't eliminate it completely, but it helps.
Yeah.
Which is something we really needed for poor Zeb. Maybe he'll be less gruff now, guys.
Yeah, right.
We'll totally change him. No, it will not.
No.
Finally, we have in episode 15, entitled The Call, we meet the space whales, the Purrgil. Some of my favorite creatures in all of Star Wars. These are large space-dwelling creatures capable of hyperspace travel. They look kind of like a combo between a whale and a squid, but they're very pretty and their song is very nice. With the Purrgil swarming the Ghost, Hera wants to shoot, but Kanan's like, no. Hold off. Let's use some caution and not shoot the giant monsters who are flying all around us. Through the Force, Ezra can sense a bit of what they want. And 2 yellow TIE fighters appear and begin firing, because of course they do. Eventually, the rebels take them down, and Sabine tracks the fighters to the asteroid gas refinery that they were looking for. Turns out that's precisely the direction the Purrgil are heading. During a private conversation, Hera confides in Ezra the legend of the Purrgil and why she has personal animosity against them. Which, fair. If your friends died because of an impact with a creature, you'd probably be a little mad at them too.
That conversation was really weird though. Like it starts off as this like kind of revenant legend about the Purrgil inspiring the initial explorers to try and find hyperspace.
Yeah.
Right.
But then fuck the Purrgil. Hera is very complex. They had to make her like a little bit like not having the popular opinion because she's so awesome that they have to give her a little bit of stuff where she's wrong. Otherwise, I think she'd be a little too perfect. But still, Hera, come on. The space whales are adorable.
They are.
As the Ghost approaches the gas refinery, Sabine devises a way to infiltrate it, and the team plans on stealing the fuel from the refinery. But Ezra is too distracted by the Purrgil to concentrate on the mission.
Yep. Ezra, Kanan, and Sabine jump off the Ghost and descend to the gas refinery's landing platform next to some Purrgil. Sabine, Chopper, and Kanan land safely, but Ezra keeps pulling an invincible and is unable to land without Kanan's help. Ezra stops Sabine from detonating explosives to save the Purrgil. The refinery's boss orders the sentries to defend the Imperial shipment from the rebels at all costs. And a firefight breaks out. Under enemy fire, the rebels load the fuel canisters aboard the Ghost. Meanwhile, Ezra falls and awakens on top of the Purrgil King, which saves him. Together, they communicate with eye hypnosis, and they travel towards the gas refinery together.
Wild stuff going on in those eyes.
Yeah, that was insane. I love it.
Yushin tells the gas thieves to surrender, but Ezra arrives with a Purrgil herd that absolutely murks the Mighty Guild forces. They take them out. One of the Purrgil grabs Yushin and plunges into the depths of the planet's gas. Before leaving, the Ghost bombards the asteroid refinery in order to destroy it for the Empire, and it blows up. Back up in space, Ezra shares with Kanan that he established a very deep connection with the Purrgil, and he learned that they depend on the gas to survive and travel in hyperspace, which the gas refinery had been negatively impacting. Hera ultimately changes her tune a little in regards to the Purrgil, and the team watch them jump into hyperspace. Absolutely gorgeous sequence there. And the Ghost follows.
Yeah.
Nice.
So good.
Well, with that, let's move on to our second holocron, The Will of the Force, where we'll be exploring the theme or themes of today's episodes. And to kick things off, episode 13 is Finding Another Path. Commander Sato is insistent that they must fight their way through the system, but Hera is determined to try a peaceful diplomatic solution first. Kanan is just as certain that they can't fight their way out of this. Finally, Sabine realizes as well that there are alternative ways to killing people, and that the group secures their safe passage without having to wipe out / battle the protectors.
I mean, they caused some damage, but not what was going to happen in the long run.
Yep.
They don't lose. She and Kanan go and come back without a single loss of life. Next up, we have. Next up, we have faith and destiny. So faith can come in many forms. In Star Wars, the most common thing we see people have faith in is obviously the Force. But here we also see it, the Lasat have faith in the Ashla, which is kind of just their name for the Force or their interpretation of it. And ultimately, people have to make choices about who they want to be. It was really kind of interesting to see Zeb have to kind of embrace both the child, the warrior, and the fool within himself. And once he's done that, he's able to make the choice to move forward and fulfill that destiny, that part of the prophecy. And which he does, and they find Lyrasan. I really love what this episode did with the concept of faith and kind of building that religious aspect of the Force.
Right.
For other people.
Definitely. Because, I mean, they talk about the Jedi being an old religion.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a ton of religious stuff in Star Wars. You get it in the books, of course. There's a ton of stuff. And there are like ceremonies and things, but mostly you just get the Jedi and the Sith. So it was cool to get the Lasat be like, yeah, the Force, whatever. We call it the Ashla. At least that's the light side of the Force for them. They have a different name for the dark side, which we'll find later. Next, we have for episode 15 the call Connection with Nature, or the natural world versus the modern world. Hera mentions that many of her friends have been killed by collisions with Purrgil, which is really sad, but the Purrgil are in their natural habitat, and they aren't trying to hurt people. They're not malicious. They're just animals that are going along their migration route, basically. This is what they've been doing for centuries. They're like birds, or like whales in our world. They have migratory patterns that they follow. And we disrupt them and then get mad when the creatures who are just doing what creatures do somehow ruin things or hurt people. It's a good mirror for our world where we've slowly and surely depleted natural animal and plant habitats, usually to the detriment of the environment. Like, you have to wonder what disrupting the Purrgil does to the galaxy, because I'm sure they're supposed to be there.
Right.
They're part of the natural order. Dave Filoni also said that he was interested in the idea that complex systems like the hyperdrive were inspired by nature. Hence, the Purrgil traveling through hyperspace inspired sentient beings to attempt the same travel.
So cool.
You have to think that like early humans saw whales or things in the water and we're like, we can do that. Let's build a boat.
Yeah.
We can do that. And birds, we see birds and we're like, how about an airplane, y'all? We can do this. Humans are ingenious. Just please don't disrupt the nature also.
Yeah. And lastly, obviously, we have our series theme, that of the chosen family. And here, this is really Zeb's time to make the choice about this. I can't imagine what it would be like to think you are completely alone, you are the last of your people, and then you find out that there is, in fact, a full planet of your people that you could, that no one would blame you for for being like, you know what, I'm going to go live with my people. But he's got new people. And he does make that choice to stay with the ghost and ultimately, hopefully, help any other surviving Lasat get to Lyrasan. But he's not going to just abandon what they've built together.
Right.
So sweet.
Well,
yes.
Well, speaking of building things together, why don't we head over to our third holocron, where we bind characters and relationships together by exploring the galaxy's populace. And to start things off, we'll look at Fenrao, voiced by Kevin McKidd. Fen is a jaded man in this episode. He honors his Mandalorian roots, but he isn't willing to take up an honorable fight against the Empire. He takes the easy way out. Not
More
saying
profitable.
we blame him for not wanting to get slaughtered, but it's a little out of the character for a Mandalorian. The Empire must really have put the hammer down on Bo-Katan's regime, which was in control at the end of the Clone Wars.
He's very afraid. Like, you can tell he's trying to keep his people safe, and it's like that's very reasonable. The Empire could crush them very easily.
Yeah.
Very, very sad. Next, we have Kanan. We have to just dedicate a little section today for Kanan's sarcasm and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s excellent line delivery. Aces across the board, 0 notes for Freddie. Amazing. In these episodes, he's hysterical. When Sabine says that this whole Jedi philosophy doesn't work for everyone. Oh, we almost did a spit take when he replies, "That's why we're at war." Amazing. I love it. Then during the call, when Hera is adamant that the Purrgil are a menace to them, but Sabine says that they need to follow them, he has that over the top, "That's so interesting." And Hera just is like,
Hera's like, yeah.
glaring, shaking her head in the foreground, like, I'm gonna.
You are
kill
sleeping
you.
in your own cabin tonight.
Yeah, no coming into my cabin. This Kanan's like, worth it. It's fine.
Yep. Next up, as we said, Hondo makes a return, and of course, he is as double-sided as ever and willing to sell out his quote-unquote friends in order to make a profit or save his own skin, which he does multiple times throughout this episode. I love that he set it up. He's like, well, I sold them to the Empire and collected the payment. I was pretty sure you guys were going to turn up, so it all works out. It's a win-win. And then I just really have to call out again that moment. He asked Ezra, he's like, well, where's my fee? And Ezra's like, you were never getting it. And he's like, I couldn't be prouder. You're learning so fast.
I know.
He almost tears up with pride. I just love him.
Yeah, he's so happy. So happy. I love Softy version of Hondo. In the Clone Wars, at first, he's more threatening and scarier, but he also has an entire like pirate crew behind him then. So it makes sense that he'd soften up a little bit as he got older. I like that he softens instead of becoming more jaded, because then the character would not be fun.
Yeah.
This is much more fun for us. Next, we have Zeb. We learned that Zeb was a captain in the Lasat Honor Guard. So he was really high up in the military. He was probably protecting the royal family. He seems to be dealing with a lot of shame and dishonor throughout this episode, as though he failed in some way and has to turn his back on the ways of his people. Like, he kind of feels like he doesn't earn the right, or he doesn't have the right really to protect them at this point. His arc in this episode is very much a person refinding their faith and redefining their faith, as he ultimately embraces his heritage and uses the bow rifle. This part was so cool, to guide the ghost through the seemingly impossible collapsed star cluster. And with that handsome ISB agent on his tail also. That's tough.
Oh yeah.
Gotta be careful when the warrior's chasing you.
And then last but certainly farthest from least is Ezra. During the call, he hears the Purgle before anyone, even Kanan. This is an indication of his growing power and a nice little callback to when he's able to feel Vader's presence before Kanan and Ahsoka, which is so super duper cool.
Yeah.
And now that
the animal power.
And now that we've wrapped up the characters and their relationships, why don't we head over to check out some advertisements?
Yes. Before we move into our next Holocron, we'd like to take a moment to tell you guys about Baxter Blue. Do you experience digital eye strain from staring at your screens all the time and just exposing yourself to way too much blue light? Blue Baxter glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter out 80% of the highest energy blue light, which eliminates 99% of glare. This past year, we've been glued to our screens more than ever. I'm in the market for a new pair of blue lens glasses. I have a pair, and they absolutely help me when I'm at work, logged in on my laptop all day, keep the headaches away. I'd gotten kind of just the cheapest pair I could find initially, but I am in the market for a new pair, so I think I'm probably going to have to go with the Baxter Blues. Guys, our exposure to digital light has soared, and our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also determined to be a force for good in the world and provides a free pair of reading glasses to someone in need for every pair that they sell. This is eyewear built for the digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off your next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids glasses. Click the link in the show notes or in the video description for your exclusive discount. This is the sign you've been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you will love your Baxters, and we know you will feel the difference.
Excellent. We'd also like to tell you about our new partnership with Fiverr. Do you need a freelancer to help with your website or WordPress site? Or maybe you need someone to help write expert articles and blogs for your website, or even an expert presentation designer to help with that big work project. Look no further than the #1 freelance marketplace, Fiverr. You can find designers, programmers, and more within seconds, some for as low as $5 per gig. Fiverr is the ideal tool to help you with pressing projects. Just post your gig or search for freelancers and you're off. Don't deal with the hassle of finding freelancers by yourself. Let Fiverr help you. See the link in the show notes to get started. Please note, Bohemian Geek Studies is an affiliate partner of Fiverr. We may receive commissions on purchases and services you buy after you click the link. These commissions help support the growth of Bohemian Geek Studies, and we appreciate your continued support.
Nice. Now that we've got those advertisements out of the way, let's head to the 4th Holocron, Binding the Galaxy Together, where we explore homages and Easter eggs of today's episode.
There were a lot in these
There were a
episodes
lot
today. Tons and tons. So many things going back to the Clone Wars, you guys. Flo, watch the Clone Wars. We love you. First, we have the Battle of Magito. This battle that Kanan remembers Fenrao from, who was a fighter pilot during this sequence, is played out in the comics, the Kanan comics #10. This is actually really cool. Like Kanan is with Depa Balaba and they're pinned down by a bunch of droids and it looks like they're gonna die. And then the Mandalorian fighter pilot squadron comes in and it's led by Fenrao. So that's probably why Kanan wants to try for a diplomatic approach, because he remembers them from when he was young and he's like, these people were brave. Maybe we can reason with them. Good try, Kanan. You're doing your best Jedi work out there. Speaking of Fenrao and the Protectors, this is the group that actually were guards for the Mandalorian leaders. They're guarding this moon, Concord Dawn, in the Concord Dawn section right now. It's an ancient group of Mandalorian elites, and they were tasked with guarding the Mandalorian royals, like Duchess Sakine Kryze.
Yeah, great job on that one, guys.
Yeah, they kind of
dropped the ball there.
My computer is dying. I better plug it in. Just a minute, you guys. Keep going. I'll be right back.
Death Watch is where we find out that Sabine's mother was a member of Death Watch, the radical Mandalorian faction that was very active during the Clone Wars, attempting to overthrow the new Mandalorians' peaceful government and reinstate the ancient ways. Next up, we've got this glorious quote from Sabine: "There are alternatives to killing." This not only shows some character growth on her part, but also pairs nicely with Fenrao's insistence that they are fighting a losing battle, to call back to Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Quote, "It's a fight you can't win, but there are alternatives to fighting."
Yes. Next up, another little Mandalorian Easter egg here. We have the, I can never remember how to pronounce this. It is Comarch class fighter transport. These are the Mandalorian's fighter ships, also known as gauntlets, and they just look so cool. We saw a lot of them in the Clone Wars series, and they are the preferred ship of many members of Death Watch. Next up, this is definitely probably not an intentional Easter egg, but it made me think of it when they are talking about how they will rebuild the Lasat people, and it doesn't matter that they don't have a planet right now. The Lasat are a people, not a place. So shouts out to Thor over in the MCU and the Asgardians for finding their new home as well.
Yes. So the Lasat that we meet have more or less given up violence and the ways of the warrior. This is a very nice parallel to our dear Duchess Satine and her pacifist new Mandalorians from the Clone Wars. Although Zeb's like, fight. It's like, oh, no, we don't fight anymore. Like, no.
It's like, you're a Lasat, damn it.
Yeah, you're a Lasat warrior. You were in training. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't fight anymore.
Next up, we've got Ajla, the name that the Lasat have for the universe's binding force. It's a nod to our dear Ahsoka Tano. She uses the name Ajla as an alias in the very early days of the Empire. It was, in fact, her original name when the character was being developed. How cool. And then Ognot sighting?
Ognaughts.
Okay, Hondo's friend and crewmate Melch, not Mulch, can be seen following the ghost crew through the hallways of the space station.
Love me an Ugnaught.
Poor Ugnaughts. I mean, really.
Yeah, but
every time we see them, I'm just like, poor babies. Like, let's give them a break, please. Next, we have Cluzon 36. This is the typical starship fuel that also makes a prominent appearance in Thrawn Treason, the third Thrawn novel. We also get the Mining Guild, which was mentioned in Empire Strikes Back and in the prequels, and here it is again. We always assume that many of the large corporations from the prequels were either absorbed or deconstructed by the Empire. Hi, Duncan. But the Mining Guild is still going strong, and they seem to have their own autonomy, which is interesting considering Sidious really didn't want any of that.
Well, they're probably still in the process of getting consolidated.
Probably. They were probably just the strongest able to stand up. And the richest, because, they have all the fuel.
All right. Again, another one that's not technically an Easter egg, but I cannot see a space whale and not shout out Futurama and Doctor Who, from the whalers on the moon to those the four-dimensional space whale to Starship UK. These giant deep space whales. And they are always they end up being gentle giants. And they're just so much fun to see on screen. And can't forget those humpback whales from Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and the Sentient Space Dolphins from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy series.
So long and thanks for all the fish. Bye.
Another one, Hera refers to the area where Lyrasan is as wild space. This is an area that's kind of beyond the Outer Rim. It's uncharted space. We've been there a couple of times before. It is actually also where the sort of weird Netherrealm Mortis arc takes place.
Yes. And it's where Eli Vanto is from the Thrawn books.
Very cool.
Space Texas, guys. That's what wild space is.
And then last up, we've got Sabine's art. If you look closely, you'll notice that Kanan's Stormtrooper helmet is painted with a Loth cat motif, which is so cool.
Adorable. And Ezra's like, I like my helmet.
And with that, we'll head on into our 5th holocron.
Okay, everybody. We are now going to go into our 5th holocron, the newbie from Naboo. Flo. This is Flo's first time watching Rebels, so we've tasked her with watching the episodes, giving us her takes and her questions. Let's find out what the ambassador from Naboo thought about today's episodes. And I've got Zeb for you today, Flo.
He looks great. That's actually a really cute pop. I mean, his eyes are like a little bit creepy.
Yes.
Like, does he really not have pupils?
I don't think any of the pops really have pupils. But yeah, his eyes are like
that's
greenish
true.
colors.
I just like looked over to my Ron collection. I guess his eyes are pretty black and soulless.
It looks different when it's green, though.
That's funny. Okay, so let's go through what I thought about these 3 episodes. Okay, here we go. Lots of takes today. Episode 13, The Protector of Concord Dawn. Okay, first of all, really liked the title. Title was on fleek, amazing. Had no idea what it meant. Awesome. I was kind of surprised that Kanan wanted diplomacy. I don't know why, but like I feel like Kanan kind of like goes in guns blazing a lot of the time. So I was surprised that he was like the diplomat in this. I don't know.
Being a Jedi.
Especially after they shot at Hera, like really bad too.
Yes. Well, okay, but then again, Kanan also sent her to like her doom on that other planet. So whatever. Kanan apparently gives 0 fucks. I did like to get a little bit more of the Sabine Mandalorian background. That was cool. I feel like we still don't know that much. Like we got that, her family was in Death Watch, which like I don't really know what that means. So a little bit of background would have been nice.
That's hard for this episode. A lot of stuff from the Clone Wars.
Yeah. And that was kind of tricky, obviously, because I haven't watched a lot of it. So yeah, that was.
You could fix that. That is a fixable problem.
It's true. I've got all summer. School year's almost done. 12 more days. So let's go. And then I can, watch Clone Wars in the pool. So it'll be great. Fenrao is a douchebag. My note literally just says Fenrao equals Empire douche. So obviously, like he kind of turned it around at the end, but like still not a good look. When Hera got hit, that was like my stomach sank. I was just like, do not let this be it. And I didn't think it was because we still have a couple seasons, but whatever. Love Sabine. She's super, super sneaky. I really like the like man-to-man combat, like dueling thing with Fenrao. That was really cool. And like, kind of like a fast shooter kind of situation. And then I really liked Sabine's quote to end it, where she was like, I guess I've just been raised right. Wink, wink, Hera and Kanan. That was so cute. That was so cute. So overall, like, I didn't hate this episode. I also like didn't really like this episode. It was just like, I was on my phone. I'm going to put that out there. Okay. I was on my phone for this one. Did not hold my attention at all. The only part where I was like, what's going on? Was like the stupidest thing was when Fenrao like didn't have his helmet on, and I was like, where's your helmet, Mandalorian? It's like, this is not the way, my dude. This is not the way. So anyways, that was really it. I don't know. I just felt like they should have gone deeper in the Mandalorian things with Sabine. It just felt like it was kind of lacking for.
That was actually it surprised me on this rewatch. I thought we were getting, when I entered this episode this time, I thought we were getting more, and then as I'm going through, I was like, did they they don't really go into it here.
Yeah, they really didn't. And it was like such a perfect time to do it because she's like, I know the Mandalorians, you know, she's like said that to Kanan. And it was like, how do I know that you know the Mandalorian? Like, you just have their armor. Like, I don't know how you know anything. So
Yeah.
I did like when they were like, who'd you steal that armor from, bounty hunter? So that was cool. I like that.
She's like, the bounty hunter, not recently.
Yeah, that was cute. I just really like Sabine a lot. And so like, I'm here for a lot of Sabine content. It just, this episode like barely gave me any, weirdly, like in an episode that she was fully in, I just feel like I didn't get anything from her. So sorry. Okay, you guys ready for the worst episode?
Yes.
I cannot believe it.
Sorry. Okay. So
I think I called this one in my head.
Yeah,
that this would be Flo's take.
I mean, honest. Okay, so episode 14, Legend of the Lasat. At first, I was like super into it. I was like, Hondo's here.
Yes!
Awesome. I'm gonna laugh the whole time. It's gonna be great.
Hondo
Love
is the fool.
Hondo. I did love how Hondo was just like flip-flopping between the Empire and the Rebels.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
fabulous. Like, God bless Hondo. And then we just like meet old lady Lasat and creepy man Lasat. And
Of course.
literally my eyes just like glazed over. I was like, bruh, I don't care about any of this anymore.
Oh no.
Sorry.
It's Zeb's people, Flo. Come on.
Yeah, but he didn't even like them.
No. Well, he thought he was the last one.
Yeah.
He thought he was the last Lasat left. So seeing these people is like very jarring. And he knows the woman is like this weird mystic. And he's like, oh, shit.
I just
Of all the
feel
ones that are
like
left, it's this one.
The weird mystic and then one of the trainees.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide like why I didn't like this episode. First of all, like it just dropped people into our laps, which I really hate when they do that. But then also like it's kind of like the Sabine episode where they kind of like drip fed us teensy tiny amounts of information about Zeb without giving us enough information about Zeb so that I would care. Like I care that he was a captain. Like I care that like his people really respected him and like followed him and he feels like he let them down. Like I got all of that. But I feel like I didn't get enough. Like, give me a flashback. Even if I had just gone like a montage flashback, I feel like I would have felt more connected to it. In this, I was just like, okay, well, creepy lady and weird guy, like, really like him, but like, I already like him, so I don't need to like him more. Like, I don't know. It was just weird. There was really cool parts. I really liked the hyper driving through the maelstrom.
Yes.
That was
so
super cool.
The
I love
music
seeing
in that part is like,
okay, I wrote this, Colleen. It is in my notes. I wrote amazing score and vocalizing in this one. Like it was haunting. It was gorgeous. So I love that part. I love seeing the TIE fighters just be like ripped to shreds. That was super cool. I loved seeing Callus's ship like start to go and then they turned around. Again, I'm like, how is Callus alive? I don't know. Like this guy just like will not die. And like, it's not that I didn't like the mission to find Lyra-san. It's just like, it just dropped out of nowhere. And then like, of course it was sweet when he like went onto the planet. And I guess like for half a second, I was like, is he coming back? But then it was like too quick. It's like, oh no, he's back. Okay.
Anyone else surprised that we didn't actually get to go to the planet, that we didn't get to go to the planet, that we didn't get to land?
Yes. Again,
I was sad
like,
about that.
I feel like I just need more like clips of things. Like again, I wanted that flashback and then like maybe give me like a pan of like lower on the planet. You know, like how like at the end of episode 6 they do like the montage of like all the different planets celebrating. That's what I wanted here. I just wanted like the village here in Lyra-san and like Zeb talking to villagers here and like getting back into his ship here to rejoin the, you know, I don't know, whatever, just something stupid. But
well, because there are millions of them now, apparently.
Are there?
One to millions. Yeah, that's what he said.
He
Millions.
said that they're thriving there because this Lyra-san is in fact.
Wait, they said millions?
Yeah,
because that's actually where their people came from originally.
Okay,
millions, Flo. So are you saltier now that you know that it's millions?
Yeah, I actually am saltier now.
Yeah, I
because
thought you might
literally
be.
what I figured. Okay, now I'm pissed because I literally thought, okay, so there was that part where they're like, oh, isn't it sad that they left just the two of them on that planet by themselves? And then like he's like, oh no, like there's more than
They're
that.
not alone. Yeah.
Right. Okay, which is great. Like I'm super happy they're not alone. Obviously, I don't want anybody to be alone. But like I thought there were maybe like 30. I wasn't
No,
even
all the
it's a
Lasats
planet
were
full of
just, like-
Lasat.
Yeah, this is their home base basically. But they
Alright.
they had lost like the way to get there. So they're probably a little different from the Lasat that were in the main galaxy, which would be interesting to see also. Like I want to see the cultural clash happening.
Okay, do we ever see these people again?
We can't tell you that. We
Spoilers.
promise.
I
no
hate you guys so
spoilers.
much because right now I am irate because if we did all this and there are millions on a planet, if they do not freaking follow Zeb later, I'm gonna be pissed that we went through a maelstrom to get to them. Pissed. All right. I'm writing this down in my notes as check back later. Unbelievable. Okay. Anyways, let's move on from this episode because it just made me mad. Okay, episode 15. This was my favorite of the batch. Very good. Okay, so the issue is obviously I sat in on a lot of your Ezra Bridger talks.
Mhm.
So I already kind of knew that he was going to connect with the Purgles, but I was very surprised to see the like eye-changing craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was weird.
Doesn't it look like the hyperspace jump? I love that.
It does. It does
Mhm.
look like that. I had no idea what was going on. I did want to quickly shout out that the name of the episode is The Call. And for those of you who don't know, that is the best Backstreet Boys song. So if you have not heard it in a while, you should go listen to The Call by Backstreet Boys, even though I'm Team NSYNC. So good job on that. I do have a note for the Ghost crew before we get into the Purgles. So here they are. They're like shivering in the Ghost, right? They've had to shut down like most of
Everything.
the power, like divert
Yeah.
the power. Why don't they have blankets? Like they're just like sitting there. They haven't put on layers. They haven't put on a blanket. They're not like drinking tea. They're just like, my brain is freezing. And it's just like,
Well, they can't drink tea because they can't heat it up.
I mean,
I'll
I'm
give
sure
blank-
that
I'll give you the
blankets thing,
blankets.
they should have
the
blankets.
blankets, yeah.
Too much to
I'm sure
animate.
that Chopper has like a random like hot plate. All right. Chopper
got
could just be
hot
like,
plate.
I don't know.
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
saying. I feel
It's
like
got a
there are
percolator.
ways. Okay, so then we get to the Purgles. They are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I really like
Mhm.
them. I
Yeah.
don't know what I was picturing in my mind when you guys were talking about Purgles because I never looked them up, but I was not expecting the like squid tentacles,
Mm-hmm.
but they were really cool. They were super, super cool. I really like that Sabine decorated Kanan's helmet.
Oh yeah, that one was juicy.
Especially like the jagged teeth on the mouth part, which like reminded me of the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas. And so I kept like expecting it to like turn like that one does. It was just wild. So I really like that. And I like that he still wore it.
Yeah.
He was like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I'm
Yeah.
stuck now. So I'm going to wear this stupid ass helmet that my daughter made in arts and crafts. I really liked it when they jumped out of the ship and they were just like diving towards the planet with the Purgles. It was
Mhm.
beautiful. It was like, I don't know, it was kind of like scuba diving in a way. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have a note here. When Ezra and Kanan are just like standing on the ghost, like kind of near the end, and the Purgles are like all around them and they're like leaving, just watching it, I felt nauseous. Like my vertigo like kicked in and I was just like, I can't. How are they in the middle of space just like standing on a ship with all these things floating by? Like I would get so dizzy and fall off the ship. So props to you, Ezra and Kanan. I'm like feeling nauseous just like thinking about it again.
That's funny.
And then it was super cool to see that the Purgles can travel through hyperspace. So that was super cool. I was slightly confused about the refinery part or like why they ran out of fuel. Like I wasn't really sure why that was happening. So I don't know. Like obviously they can't give me like all the backstory, but like why are they by themselves with no fuel? I didn't really understand that. I will say that refinery boss is like the only bad guy who's like not a real bad guy, but like a lower level bad guy who kind of like got his own hands dirty. And I was like, go refinery boss. Like way
Yep.
to like stand up for your refinery.
Yes.
You douchebag. But
Yes, the mining guild sucks, but at least he tried.
I mean, he got right in there. He got eaten by a Purgle.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
So good job, refinery guy. Like way to like not just like let your people die and You got in there and died yourself, so good on you, buddy. Overall, good episode. Again, like unrelated episodes, just like pieced together. They were fine. I don't know. They definitely were not my favorites, but it was still good. Enjoyable TV.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Flo.
Yay.
Yeah.
With that under our belts, why don't we move on to our 6th Holocron conjecture at the Cantina, where we ask our questions about the episode and explore some wider Star Wars lore together. Colleen, why don't you kick us off?
Of course. So for these episodes, they really in particular wanted to focus on Zeb's character for his Legends of the Lasat episode and his past, which we didn't get quite as much as we want, but they're not going to give it to us, unfortunately. Damn it.
Wow.
They said that they actually toyed with making Zeb royalty instead of having him be part of the military, but then they settled on the honor guard because it seemed more in character for him. Like he was the most militaristic of the group, the best fighter in the group, like hand-to-hand combat fighter. Either way, he was someone who was very important and respected, and he blames himself for the fall of his people. Like this is all on his shoulders, thinking he's the last one. And so like you'd think that finding 2 of them would make him feel better, but I think it's also very realistic that it was like, whoa, PTSD flashback. No, I can't deal with this right now. I'm going to walk away. And then Ezra's like, but look, it's your family. I love Ezra so much.
I mean, apparently there's millions, so F this. Like, it didn't even matter.
I mean, it did.
There was still a planet full of them that got wiped out. Like, that still happened.
I mean, they're all dead.
All right. All I'm saying is,
they all did.
Leia wasn't out here, like, bemoaning Alderaan forever, so... like, that's all.
She, in the books, she does, but in the movies, she really does.
In the movies, she's like, it's unfortunate.
In the books, it's like, ooh, yikes. She has a couple flashback things that are not fun. But in the movie, she has to put on that kind of like regal, I can handle anything aspect. And Zeb just doesn't have that voice or state of mind to do that. We also have story groups. Pablo Hidalgo emphasized that the Force isn't just for the Jedi and the Sith. Yay! Anyone can be a Jedi. Anyone can connect with the Force. Cultures like Lasat have their own interpretation of the Force and what it means for them and for the galaxy at large. Like, this is good. Yeah.
Which is a really cool concept. I liked what they were doing with that in that episode, how Zeb's the bow rifle sort of kind of connects him with the Force. I was a little confused. There are a couple of references in these episodes to like the ancients and, people from like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but they still had like blaster rifles in hyperspace like 10,000 years ago. So
that's the weirdest part when you look like at the games and stuff, when it's supposed to be like 30,000 years in the past. And it seems like they have the exact same technology.
Yeah.
No improvements made.
No, it's fine. Everything we have is fine.
All right. So I had a couple questions about these episodes. Like, Hera is so adamant that the Purgle are a menace and that they, just wander through hyperspace lanes and cause ship crashes. And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe you're flying a ship through their house. Like, maybe you're the asshole here.
Yes.
I mean, 100%. But also, like, from what I gathered, it's like unpredictable to know where they are, right?
To an extent, yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I mean, it's kind of just like, well, they were just there and we were just there, but she was a huge dick to these Purgles.
Oh yeah,
like why? Like, chill out.
Which made for the best moments, but like Sabit's just like, follow the Purgle.
Yeah, that was cute. That was cute.
And she's got to start trusting Ezra, Kid's got instincts.
Yeah, the baby. Trust the baby bean. He is smart.
I mean, I don't know. He's possessed by Purgles, so.
Maybe that means he can just go through hyperspace now.
I mean, that would be sick.
And we got a lot, like you said, we got a lot of references to Mandalorian stuff without actually really diving deep into it. I mean, forging your armor, Mandalore being at war with itself, this line from Kanan, Mandalorians can't solve anything that's not at the end of a blaster. So I was just wondering, Colleen, can you give us a kind of just a brief primer on Mandalorian history?
Of course I can. Brief? I don't know her. Just kidding. I compiled a little bit from Wikipedia and other stuff that we've gone over. So the Mandalorians were a clan-based cultural group composed members of multiple species, all bound by a common culture, creed, and code, which we see showcased in the TV show The Mandalorian, a lot more than in the movies or the TV shows. They originated in the Outer Rim and were actually legendary warriors against the Jedi. Like, they've been clashing for centuries with the Jedi. That's why they also have the slug thrower weapons instead of just blasters, because slug throwers threw like bullets at Jedi, which the lightsabers couldn't deflect as easily. So they're like just busting caps in the Jedi because the lightsabers can't deflect the bullets. I love the Mandalorians. They're great. From their homeworld, the Mandalorians flourish across Mandalorian space. Like, everything about Mandalore is Mandalorian sector, Mandalorian planet. Yes, everything is Mandalorian. And the galaxy at large, they colonized multiple worlds, including Sabine's homeworld. Mandalore largely had a martial history, but since the Mandalorian Civil War, pacifist sentiment emerged, and the Mandalorians reformed under the new Mandalorian regime, led by Duchess Satine Kryze of House Kryze.
Aw, Duchess
We love
Satine.
her. Obi-Wan's girlfriend. We love her so much. Under the new government, Mandalore remained neutral during the Clone Wars. Despite enjoying decades of peace, conflict persisted between the new Mandalorian government and factions such as the Death Watch. We fucking hate you, Pre Vizsla. Go die. A group of exiled Mandalorian warriors who wanted Mandalore to return to the traditional warlike ways. This conflict led to another civil war during the Clone Wars that toppled the ruling new Mandalorian regime and restored the old, secretly controlled by Maul. Whoopsies, everyone. Mandalore was controlled by Maul at one point. Bo-Katan Kryze was put in place as regent after defeating Maul at the end of the Clone Wars, but her government was ousted during the occupation by the Empire. After the fall of the Empire, we don't know what happened to Mandalore, except that there aren't very many Mandalorians left. It's mentioned on the TV show that there was a great purge, but we don't know what happened. Our best guess is that when they were trying to oust Bo-Katan's next group, would be my guess, is when they were all summarily destroyed.
Mhm.
Which, very sad. Which led to the cult of always wear your helmet.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Well, my only question is, and this is super duper important, is the voice actor for Fenrao the guy from Grey's Anatomy and Rome? Because I think it is.
It is. That is Kevin
is.
McKidd. He's also in the Percy Jackson movies as Percy's father, Poseidon. Don't care what anyone
Ooh.
says. The first Percy Jackson movie is fun. I haven't read the books, so I'm not like making comparisons, which apparently aren't that good, but it's a fun movie on its own.
I liked
Nice.
him. I thought they were good. I love Kevin McKidd. He is amazing. They need to put him in live action Star Wars immediately.
Yeah, I think he'd be very good in it.
Mhm. If Fenrao is still around, like, I want to see him in live action next to Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. Like, give it to me now. Jon Favreau, please.
Well, I think that wraps things up for us. So join us again next week as Hera brings Kanan to meet the parents when we discuss season 2, episodes 16, 17, and 18. Until then, please follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us those 5-star reviews. Check out our website at bohemiangeekstudies.com, where you can watch all of our episodes, enjoy Colleen's Book Corner, where she's reviewing Star Wars literature, and contact us through email and social media. And as always, keep telling other Nerdy Knights to join us because it really does help. You can also head over to ForgottenEntertainment.com to check out all of the offerings from the Forgotten Entertainment family, including yet another Star Wars podcast where Colleen and Anders, along with co-host Daniel and some special guests you may recognize, are examining the films in Star Wars canon. Until next time, sabers up and keep those episodes streaming. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
So long.
Bye.